just to make a point, though.
Yeah.
Let's come back to the HPD. You have, you're working on a set of guidelines that are citywide, but you have to take into account at this time the impact of what's happened in Greenpoint, Williamsburg, as opposed to citywide. The situation of the displaced has grown radically since 2005, when a lot of the rezoning began to be implemented and the rise in housing prices. So we have a special situation here. And you can't tell me that the City of New York and HPD cannot take into consideration special circumstances, emergency circumstances, given a neighborhood that's being affected so dramatically over the last several years as we have now. To say that we're bound by a certain set of rules, fine, those are applicable citywide, but you must be able to pull out a case-by-case, neighborhood-by-neighborhood situation and say, we need to focus on this because this is what's happened here over the last several years. So I'd like you to take that back.
No, not to downplay the concern, I hear it very well. I just wanted to just give you the city point of view.
I understand the city point of view.
And understanding that if this is a board recommendation, it would be taken into consideration.
And we'll certainly follow up on our end as well, ensure that we have the discussion.
Yes. Just one more point. Chairwoman?
Yes.
Can I,
Sure.
unless you want to go ahead?
No,
I just want to have-
please.
I just want to be a little clear on point number 5, the integration issue of affordable units to be integrated below the 7th floor throughout. Is that,
I mean,
I understood that you were, I wasn't quite clear at the public hearing whether you seemed to be approving that or you weren't sure.
I think there's two different things. I mean, one, again, we're doing a project. We're doing projects that get, the land project that we're working on, the first project, the E3 agreement, are ones that bring a lot of affordable housing in as in the first phase. And those are standalone buildings in neighborhood. And so that is part of what we're planning on doing. The developer's also planning on including in the larger Greenpoint Landing project, 80/20 projects, and those will have the units within the entire project, and they won't be limited to the 7th floor, they'll be distributed throughout. So it's going to be a mixture, and but different projects and different programs work better in different forms.
But they will be throughout the complex of buildings as they develop.
As they develop, and again, there'll be a mixture of different programs here, and some of them will be standalone buildings. And some of them will be projects which will have units that are integrated into the project. And it's going to be based on the programs that are available. And I think what we can commit to do is to continue to pursue those that include, an integrated component. But if there's like a 202 housing project, might work best as a standalone project. So
It has to be, 202 has to be.
So that's
We understand.
the same.
But we're not really referring to that project, we're referring to it in general.
So there will be a mixture, and again, we're trying to create one project here, and that's what the goal is.
When they were saying in the public meeting that that building, which is only 7 stories high, would be only for low-income people.
That is not our project, that's the other project, or at least it's not our project. I guess the last point that was on here, and again, just so I can respond, and we'll certainly bring this back and talk more about it, because we just looked at it. The school, I just want to be clear that what we have talked to the SCA about is a public school pre-K through intermediate for District 14, and the decision about what the correct catchment area is will happen, I guess, about a year before the school is open, and it's going to be the SCA and the Board of Education's decision. It's not going to be the developers. So we hope that part of our project's in the catchment area, but we're not the ones that are going to make that decision. And I think those are the points here.
Just to let everybody know, one of our conditions was that the affordable units would be integrated at least below the 7th floor in the tower market rate units. And what I hear you saying is that you would commit to doing better than that.
We commit for the 80/20 projects, we will definitely do that again. Yes, we're gonna integrate, they'll be integrated.
Are there any other questions from board members?
Again, I'm a general board member, I'm not a member of the.
You can't vote.
So my question, what the board is, what the committee is recommending has to do pretty exclusively with affordable housing. I want to revisit the parks and open space.
Sure.
I know at the first meeting where you presented the project that was at the Karen Park Pool, the developer had offered $1 million for building a large park. Quite after after what had gone on in the meeting and the reaction of the community, it quickly moved up to 2.5 million.
It actually was 2.5. I think you might have been, this park, the city had $1 million funded for it, I'm not sure.
Whatever,
But
but 2.5 million really is completely inadequate amount to be giving to a park.
again, I mean, the way that the developer is thinking about it, it's more than 30% of the cost that the city expects it to be. And so we think that that amount is a good amount. I can see by your face you're suggesting it should be higher.
The community for sure.
The bathroom was 1.7 million.
And we are hoping that we can be helpful in making
How
sure
long do we
that
have to
you
wait
don't
to get a
spend that
bathroom?
much money on something that doesn't deserve to, shouldn't cost a tenth of that, so.
You
So
said,
Be
we
helpful in what way?
We'd like to be as helpful as we can, certainly when we are doing our open space. We're gonna design it, we're gonna be working with the Parks Department, and I think we'd be more than happy to help, provide some of our, expertise that we have to work with them the way that we can, to see if there's ways of making sure that the costs come in at a reasonable level.
you mentioned the number 2.5 came out from what ratio, 30%?
Again, it's 2.5 million out of 7, and my math is never perfect, it might be, it's a little higher than 30%. So, if somebody wants to do the
Would
math.
that be a minimum plus to reach that percentage? The time comes out, if things are required more, that should be raised accordingly?
What we've talked to the city about, is that we'd enter into, again, when we acquired lot 32, we'd enter into a funding agreement, and we would be contributing sort of at the same time. So if the city puts in $100, we put in $100. But the deal, what we talk about is that it's 2.5, and when the city's paid 2.5, then our contribution's done, the city pays the remainder. So our monies come in, go first at the same time as the city, so that there's at least, that it's there to be spent early as opposed to late. But it's still 2.5.
Does that include then the idea that you have a ratio established for cost of living increase at, when this is built out ultimately?
Well, hopefully, and the time frame for the park is 2016, is that the done? So we think that the monies will go in quickly and they'll be used.
Could we stick it to that ratio?
Well, I think again, what we've offered is the 2.5 million at this point.
I think somebody from Parks is here.
From Parks?
Actually, I see you have two people from Parks here, but Ed Janoff is the North Park Administrator.
What's the question specifically?